Electric Cafe.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Electric Cafe. This is a review on a song called Electroglide in Blue by the artist named The 13th Sign. This came out in 1996 and it was a request by by a subscriber and an old friend of mine back from the Discogs forum days and also from and was living in Los Angeles at the time where I was born and raised when we first started, being friends and talking about music and things like that. And he's certainly a wealth of knowledge, and we've stayed in contact and kind of check up on each other every once in a while and see how each other's doing and talk about music. And having a channel like this gives us, friends of mine in that are into music, just an opportunity for us to connect again and talk about music on a different platform. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come to YouTube, to kind of take those friendships I have and people that I like to talk about music with and take it to another level. If there's something that you would like me to review, perhaps it's a song you've done, or maybe it's just a song or an album that you'd like me to review, you certainly can request it to my email, which is right down below in the notes section. Email me and let me know what you're interested in me reviewing, and I'll get back to you. One of the things that I do when I first, and it's just kind of out of habit, but one of the first things I do when I hear an artist that doesn't ring a bell right away, I immediately go to Discogs and see if there's anything from them that I have in my collection, anything that's on a compilation or a mixed CD, and I try to do that even before I hear the song because I want to review a little bit of them and get an idea of maybe if I've heard their stuff before. Do I have any preconceived notions or ideas of what style they make? And is there any kind of research that I can do about them without actually hearing a song that they do or the particular song that I'm going to review? And in this case, I actually there was two songs that popped up from this artist that I do have in my that I do have from compilations, and one of the tracks is called "Take Me to the Distant Bass," which is actually on this artist's first EP, and that was on a compilation I have called Abstract Vibes 2, which came out on Quango Records back in 1997. And then also they had a track called Rainbow, which was featured on Thievery Corporation's I think actually Thievery Corporation's DJ Kicks from 1998. So kind of taking me back there and knowing that. Obviously, they're a little bit probably involved in trip hop and down tempo, and certainly it's roughly suggests that from the styles of music that's on the release and then what compilations and other things they've been involved in. But it looks like they had one album and then three EPs in the late 90s under this particular name. I didn't review the actual artist's name, but under 13th Sign, they had one album and three EPs. But yeah, it's nice to kind of go back and, kind of bog my mind and then also kind of look at my collection online and see if there might be anything that I previously knew about the artist. That way it kind of gives me an idea of what to expect without hearing the music, but also it gives me something to sort of balance it from. And I like to know some sort of history about the artist. Maybe just read a little bit about the artist before I know. And when it comes to electronic music, at least I have an idea of what label they were on and, what style of music it is. So just have an idea of what to kind of expect. And then I'll play the song for you guys and give my thoughts on it and give it a score after. All right, so let's check out the track. It's called Electroglide in Blue, and it's by the artist called The 13th Sign, and it came out in 1996. All right, so that was the track called Electroglide in Blue by the artist named The 13th Sign, which came out in 1996. It first starts out with like sort of like a radio tuner, which is always I always love like a little attention to that to tracks, and you sort of some sort of like sound at the beginning or a sound at the end that really kind of uh, just sort of gets your attention before any kind of musical note. And in this one, it sort of has like a little bit of like a radio channel is sort of coming into the foreground a little bit, and you can kind of hear a little bit of static, but it's not necessarily like a radio tuner like you would hear an old tuner change channel, but it definitely sounds like some sort of messages or information is sort of coming through the radio. And then it just the drum starts to come in, and it's a little bit of a broken beat, with a nice melody that comes over, some nice percussion, a little bit of again like a broken beat. It almost sounds like it's gonna be a drum and bass track, and to some extent it does a little bit, but it's still more of a broken down tempo beat. Um, the Word Is Born sample makes me think of like East Coast hip hop, so perhaps the artist was certainly inspired by more East Coast hip hop. That's certainly a phrase that's used a lot more so in Eastern hip hop, East Coast hip hop versus West Coast hip hop in the '90s. Um, what else? What else? It, what this track reminds me of? It reminds me of like sort of those tracks that I would love to listen to, like on a day after, like a hard night out or something like that. Like, when you're going out like in the '90s and you went out to like a rave or a party or something like that, and you heard techno and trance and really heavy music all night, and then in the morning, you weren't feeling that great, or you were tired, or you were just sort of in a daze from the night before, and just trying to regroup and start the day, and but you also have fond memories of how great that party was, and you probably uh, maybe getting up to some with some lady that you met, or you're meeting up with friends in the morning, or what have you, and you want to hear this sort of track where these kind of tracks where it's not intrusive and it's not hard banging like you were playing techno the night before, or some really heavy music. Like, you want to hear something more down tempo, something more urban, more relaxing, not intrusive, and just kind of laid back and chill out. And this is right in line with that. And I love the lingering melody, that tone that just kind of gives it that atmosphere. And I just love that tone. It certainly has a trip hop vibe to it, but to me this is kind of more down tempo and also slightly chill out than really than a trip hop. Although it's right in line with trip hop as well, but it definitely has a chill out vibe to me, and more of a urban down tempo vibe. And again, even more towards drum and bass, a little bit more towards trip hop. Sometimes I think of trip hop, is not necessarily a fully almost. I mean, there are some broken beat stuff in trip hop for sure, but this one almost is like a drum and bass track without the drum. If you get what I mean, it's more of the tom toms and stuff like that, and it's still fairly fast, just without the deep bass hits. So it's almost in line more with drum and bass than an even trip hop when it comes to just the beat elements. But I can certainly see how this is trip hop in a lot of ways too. I really like the 808 bells in the background of the rhythm. Although it does feel like the production could be a little bit better, and those bells they're not very clean. They're kind of in the background, and there there is sort of like a filter sound to this whole track where it's not necessarily very dynamic. So the production is a little raw, and it's some of the things don't stick out as much as they probably could. And it is 1996, so it's not groundbreaking, but it could be. I feel like it could be a little bit better mastering job in production, and but that doesn't take away from the feel of the track. I like about midway through the bass line really kind of takes over, where at the beginning it feels like the first 2 minutes or so it feels like the drums are really the more rhythmic importance to it. And then the bass line really kind of takes over, and it slightly changes, if I'm not mistaken, about halfway through, and it becomes more about the bass line, and that's great because it is a really cool bass line, and I like that about it. So you a lot of times you think of drum tracks like a lot, especially in the late '90s, is like big beats getting was big, and drum and bass is getting bigger, and a lot of things are just very over the top drummy for no reason. Even IDM kind of got a little bit crazy with the beats, and it so takes over the track that it becomes a little distracting and maybe just overdone. Where here even though it's like that, it's still kind of kept in the background, and because that sort of melody over the top, and then the bass line kind of takes over, and it's a great bass line, and it's so much different than the drums on top. It almost feels like it wouldn't work, but it goes together great in kind of a loose way. And so that has a lot of character to it as well, which is nice. I love the nice mellow flow through it. Like the last 2 minutes, it pretty much stays the same. So just kind of love the melody rising. The percussion gets a little bit more techy towards the end. It almost sounds like he's mixing in some kind of like acid track in there for like 30 seconds or so. You can kind of like hear like he's gonna like filter in like a track or something, almost like it was a DJ mix. So that's a cool touch as well. It kind of has like an acid line into it. But I love how the track just ends on the melody, and that's really nice too. Just kind of has that same note like over 30, 40 seconds. Just really cool. But I really like this track. Really good stuff. Definitely gives me chill out vibes for sure. I would definitely play this in a chill out set. It has good crossover appeal too for anybody who's open to a lot of different genres. And that's what's great about like a lot of the trip hop and down tempo music in like 1995 to like 2001. That's my favorite part of like more of the urban down tempo chill out styles. You think of like Ninja Tunes and Compost Records and Quango, which they were on, and so many great Shadow Records. There was so many great like labels in this style, and underground labels. I think of like Pork Recordings, another one that I really followed a lot, and it has a lot of this kind of down tempo, slightly urban, but still kind of tied to the chill out sound, which I really find important and really long lasting because it just gave these tracks such a chill out vibe to it, where it just feels almost timeless. And I just love the period of music from 1995 to 2001 in this vein, and this is a great example of it. A lot of great down tempo vibes from this time, and I'm glad I got a chance to hear this track because I definitely will want list this EP and the first EP, which I knew two of the four tracks in. So I'll certainly check out more from this artist. And I love finding lesser known chill out music like this. From the '90s is always cool. But yeah, overall I give the track a 7.25 stars out of 10. So definitely think it's a very good track, and definitely kind of a classy down tempo track. I like it a lot. So thanks for requesting it to the person who requested it, without trying to say your name, because I don't know if you want me to say your name on here, but appreciate your donation to the channel, and having me review and check out this track. So I appreciate that. If there's anybody else out there who would like to for me to check out a track and review it, just email me below and give me a request, and we'll talk through it. All right, thanks for checking out Electric Cafe and this track, and we'll see you on the next video.
Electric Cafe.